This is Kieran Perry. He's our Deputy Lord Mayor. It's his first time in the chair, so good luck to you tonight, Kieran. That presentation, that was a lovely presentation, but and the people that I represent out in Clontarf were very welcoming of the cycleway. We're very welcoming of the flood defences. We're just talking about a small area, the 460 metres that you talked about. It's down. It's on the James Larkin Road. It's not on the Clontarf Road. In actual fact, the board Planola report mentioned that the flooding is recorded in Clontarf Road, not on the James Larkin Road. There's no recorded flooding in the James Larkin Road. So I just want the councillors to be clear. It's a particular area that any flooding. There's never been sea flooding there. There's a Nanakan River. There's difficulties with that. You know. Now I just want to take you back to 2011. We had some. There was similar presentations to this, and there was lovely designs, and there was all that. But there was a monstrosity going to be built on if you remember, on the promenade at Dublin Bay. And at the end of that, eventually, in fairness to the city manager, he believed that he didn't want to put something up that people didn't want. And after that, there was a big loss of trust. And we had a workshop, I think it was up in the fire brigade station up in Marino, to try and, there was mediation, and it was to try and build trust up again. And that actually happened in October 12, and that date is very important, and I'll be coming back to it in a few minutes. But one of the undertakings, I suppose, one of the learning points from that workshop would be that we would work together. This is back in 2012. We would work together, we'd collaborate on projects. We would have visualisations. Now, the visualisations for this project have just been put up in the last few days. These were flagged 2 and 3 years ago. And it would have multidisciplinary design. We shouldn't be talking about glass panels after we've built the wall. We were given commitments that we'd be talking about multidisciplinary designs, that we can talk about this before the wall is built, and we were never given that opportunity. So as I said, the people that I represent, we're for flood defences. It's just a particular area. It's in a biosphere. It's in a national reserve. It's in an area of beauty. Tourists, it's the only biosphere in the city, and that needs to be protected. The people, again, that I represent have fought Dublin Port. We're still fighting them about the 52 acres, about the dumping, and now we seem to be fighting Dublin City Council as well. All we want is to preserve our biosphere, and that's what Dublin City Council should be doing. Now, I won't keep you too long. I've mentioned the biosphere. I've mentioned the location, and we just want to protect that. I want to draw your attention to there was an open letter that was sent from the Clontarf Residents and Business Association, and they talk about. I'm going to read out something from it. They draw your attention basically to. They drew attention to 3 on-board Planola compliances that haven't been adhered to. And it's actually embarrassing for me as a director of Dublin City Council that I have to come here tonight to the city manager and call it out to him. One of the on-board Planola stipulations was that an environmental monitoring and liaison committee shall be established by the applicant for the construction period. Membership shall be restricted to 4 persons plus an independent chairperson. The committee shall comprise representation from DCC, the local community, that's the people in this room and the people that are protesting against this, ecological groups, they're joining with us as well, the National Parks and Wildlife Service and the Office of Public Works. This did not happen. This committee never met, and there was certainly no community involvement. That's a damning indictment of this City Council. They further brought our attention to construction works. Construction works, again, this is an on-board Planola condition. On-board Planola. Construction works shall cease during the months of October to February. Inclusive of minor works only, shall be carried out during the shoulder months. This is to mitigate the impacts of construction noise and disturbance for residents and to avoid disturbance to birds. How dare you make this up as you go along? You're putting up hoardings on the thing to block the disruption. I think that's nothing to do with what the Board Planol has said. You can't just make up the Board Planol stuff as it suits you. There's stipulations. No major construction work is to happen between October and March. That's it. That's full stop. You have to be listening. You have to be. That's a statutory requirement. On another, the third matter that the Residents and Business Association brought us to was about the rendering of the wall. Again, it was a statutory requirement that the wall would be rendered. And a couple of weeks ago, Dublin City Council conceded that they would look into rendering. This was a statutory requirement before they put up that monstrosity. Now, I just want to pay attention. I won't be too long, and then I won't speak again. I want to bring your attention to a document that I put on the desk in front of you all. This is the main document that comes with the Part 8. It's the one that went out to public consultation. It's a 30-page document. It makes very little reference to the flood defences. But I want you to bring you to, if you're so good and bear with me, to page 10. Actually, it's on page 11. Page 10 is the first reference. There's only 2 references to the seawall defences in this document, this 30-page document. There's a couple of paragraphs. So it's page 10 and 11. There's a diagram there on page 11. This wall, the main problem with this wall, we're talking about on the land side. It's not the sea side, it's the land side. And the reason that there's differing levels on the land side is that this report doesn't take into account the different road levels. They were never taken into account. And there's no mention of them in this report whatsoever. And if you look at the heights, there's a column there in the middle, increase in wall height required. It doesn't tell you how high the wall is going to be. It just tells you about the increase in the height. So when they don't want to talk about a high wall, they talk about the increase in the height. Again, this is totally confusing for people, and it's not transparent, and it's nothing like what we discussed at that workshop, the mediation workshop in 2012. Now, this is the most damning piece I have. Well, I suppose the Board Planol is, but if you come on to page 24, this is the landscape and visual impact. Again, this is what went out to the public. None of the diagrams that you saw today, none of the photo montages, we weren't looking at a wall at the time, so we had to trust these people. There was no wall. So none of the photographs, they were never showed to any of the public consultations. In that page 24, the very first sentence, this scheme will have relatively low impact profiles from all strategic viewpoints. That's what we're told. And if you turn the page to the second line there, in some locations, however, only a low wall exists outside of the footpath. The new wall will need to be increased by up to 1 metre. This will, however, still only be slightly higher than the level of the footpath. This will only be slightly, so go up to 1 metre. This will only be slightly higher than the level of the footpath. That's in the main body of this report talking about sea defences. They're the most 2 misinforming statements that I've ever seen in a Part 8 document, and they're an absolute disgrace. They're a disgrace after what happened in 2011. Underneath that, there's a diagram. That's the diagram. Look at the diagram. There's a very small.
Councillor O'Farrell, can we just finish up?
Yeah, I'll be ready in about 1 minute, and then I'll finish, and then I'll let other councillors in. There's a very low wall there. There's a very low wall there, that's the wall, and the car over on the left-hand side sees way over that wall. And there's a caption under that section showing the most increase in flood wall. Again, that's just disgraceful. That's a disgraceful way to treat the public, and it's not a bit transparent. Now, again, no, just one thing. This document, the last point I'll make before I let us in. This document was brought to us in December 2012. This is the final draft. If you look at the front of that document, December 2012. Okay, the mediation workshop that we attended to try and build trust, to talk about the learning points, to talk about the visualisation, to talk about the multiplicity design, to talk about the joint approach, happened in October 2012 when this document was drawn up. I don't know how you can stand over that, Owen Keegan. I really don't know how you can stand over that. It's an absolute disgrace. It's a disgrace to the people of Clontarf, to the people I represent, the people of the north side of Dublin.
Damian,
it's a disgrace.
I'm going to move on.
Thank you, councillors.
Sorry, can we just keep it down in the gallery, please? Just to make the point, because Damian had brought the motion for the special meeting, he was given a lot of leeway tonight, but the opposing side will be given the equal leeway. Councillor Cllr is indicated first.
Sorry, just on a point of order, Lord Mayor, we were listening to that presentation for 10 or 15 minutes. I only spoke for about 3 or 4, but I thank you for your leeway. Thank you very much. I don't have the opportunity. I actually agreed on a point. I actually agreed to let these gentlemen come in and show that to be. We've nothing to hide. I was asked for my permission, basically, could that come in tonight, and that was fine, you know. So.
Thanks, Chair, and can I thank Councillor Farrell for giving the courtesy of letting me speak here this evening. Something I really appreciate.
Very much, Deputy Lord Mayor. Can I just begin and say that I was disappointed that Councillor Farrell introduced a personalised element into this. He knows full well that, unlike him, I had no involvement in the scheme. I wasn't employed by the City Council at the time, so I'm not taking any responsibility for the situation we're in today.
Certainly, Mr. Keegan, I certainly wasn't referring to you in the sense of the previous. I know you weren't around when this happened originally. I was talking about you're in charge of a City Council that we're not in compliance with on board plan all the regulations compliance. That's exactly what I was referring to, and I don't accept. I'm looking at the requirement from Board Planola very, very clearly. It says construction work shall cease during the months of October to February, inclusive. Minor works only shall be carried out during the shoulder months of September-March. The reason, to mitigate the impacts of construction noise and disturbance for residents and avoid disturbance of birds within the South Lagoon during their wintering and feeding months. There's no reference here at all to the national parks, wildlife, consulting with anybody. It's none of that.
Just, Lord Mayor, it's very important, Deputy Lord, it's very important I clarify that. What I read out was a condition that the elected members approved. It's in the Part 8. It's a condition of the Part 8, and that's the condition we're complying with.
This overrides. When we accepted that Part 8, the conditions, the onboard Panola conditions went with it. This is one of the conditions. We have to comply with that. That's my understanding. You're saying we don't have to comply with an onboard Planola point. Is that what we're saying?
I'm saying,
Deputy Lord Mayor, I think that this type of debate is not useful. With Councillor O'Farrell and the manager talking to each other in such a fashion. There is an agreed motion there, as I see it, and I think that forms the basis for moving forward in relation to this. And I think we should put that motion.
So,
sorry, Deputy Lord, it's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
Damian. Councillor, it's an extremely important point that Councillor Farrell was making, and the reply from the manager was equally as important. So I'm happy enough to mediate between two speakers.
No. That is not the way things work in Dublin City Council. Everything is addressed to the Cllr, right? That's you in this particular case. So you can't have talking between.
Did you not just hear what I said, Councillor? I said I'm happy enough to mediate between the two speakers, meaning as a Cllr.
Yeah. Well, if there's a dispute, we can sort it later. But the fact of the matter is, I think the motion as presented to the council here now is an agreed one, and I even seen it going to the gallery for approval. So I think that's as far as we can go. And I propose that we put the motion. Yeah, and I'm entitled to propose that we put the motion because I haven't spoken at this thing until now.
Nisha, sorry.
Yeah, Cllr, I'm proposing to withdraw my original amendment and to table this as a composite motion in the names for agreement by the City Council. Okay, Manager, do you need me to read it out, or do you want to read it into the record, Manager?
Well, to read it into the record, that this City Council calls upon the CEO of Dublin City Council to immediately commit to fully implementing all the planning conditions set by the planning authorities, including on board Planola, in respect of the Sutton2Sandycove Cycleway and footway interim works, Bull Wall Wooden Bridge to Causeway Road. Furthermore, we call on Dublin City Council to commit that any finished flood defence will adequately protect the UNESCO biosphere in accordance with all national and international guidelines. Engage with the local community and all relevant stakeholders to give them a say in ensuring that this and any other future flood defence project does not impact on either the visual or environmental amenity any more than is absolutely necessary to protect present and future generations from flooding risk. Reverse any building to date that does not fulfil these requirements immediately. Use the down period in barrier construction over the winter months to further consult intensively directly with local residents and with community groups regarding the flood defence element and resolve any remaining issues, and further to prepare, deliver and circulate accurate and comprehensive visuals/imaging of the completed scheme, incorporating any agreed changes. Is that proposed amendment agreed?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Again, sorry, on a point of order, a very important matter. We've just agreed a composite motion. Part of the motion is it talks about 3 aboard Planola compliances. The manager is disagreeing with the councillors. We've only agreed it in a second ago, and already you're in disagreement, manager. You're going to work tomorrow on the site.
Point of order. The motion has been carried as far as it has been carried. We agreed. We agreed.
It has been carried, and the manager needs to make a statement. Are you going to be in compliance with this?
O'Farrell, we're going to put the motion. We're going to put the motion now.
Lord Mayor, Deputy Lord Mayor, Deputy Lord Mayor.
Sorry, a roll call vote.
Again, I have to ask the manager on a point of order, and through the chair, I have to ask the manager.
Damian, please.
Are you going to comply with the wild?
Can we have 5 standing for a roll call vote, please? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Dermot, could I ask you to take no rocks?
It's disgraceful carry on now at this meeting when I can't get an answer. I'm sorry about that now, but it's disgraceful when I can't get a clear answer. We're not going anywhere with this. You'll be down to site working tomorrow. What's the point of coming in here at all?
Damien, the motion's been put to the meeting.
Sorry, could I ask all the councillors to have a look at the screen before I cover it, to make sure that your name is up there, so you're sitting in the right place, because people moved places. So everybody's correct name is up there, okay? You are, yeah. You are. No, something's happening here. Okay, you can all vote now. No, it's okay, I'm good. Okay. Declan, yours isn't registered. Okay. All right, everybody's registered. 29 people present and 29 people have voted yes.
Can I thank everybody in the room, the residents in particular, all the councillors and all the officials, and thank you for making tonight easy for me. Good.